All right, so I had a request from a few students to demonstrate how to copy queries from one workbook to another. And so I'm doing a really quick and dirty video on how to do that. So I'm just going to walk through that for you. So you can see here that I have my Fruit Growers Co-op data model file open, and then I've also opened another blank workbook. So I'm going to assume that book one workbook belongs to one student, while the Fruit Growers Co-op belongs to another student. So how I would go about copying the queries over so I don't have to recreate them manually applied step by applied step is that I would go into the workbook that had the query in it that I wanted to copy over, and I would open up that query. So I'm just going to double click on my foreign workers home country by province. And you're going to want to do this step for each of the queries that you're doing, but I'm going to start with this query. And the reason why I'm starting this query is because it doesn't include a merge to any other queries. So it's just pulling from a source file. So before I do this, I want to make sure that I have the source file saved somewhere on my computer. Now you can see that when I open this file from another student, that it looks like this file is stored in their local path. Okay, so when I copy this over, I just have to remember that I'm going to have to remap the source file to the location where I have stored that file. Okay. So how do I go about copying this? So now that I have the query open, I'm going to go up onto my home ribbon and I'm going to click Advanced Editor. And from here, it's actually opening up the code that is the engine for this query. So again, as a reminder, as we add applied steps, it's just writing lines of code. And if we have, in fact, built efficient queries, this code should be fairly tight, okay? Fairly clear, concise. I'm going to copy all of that. I'm just going to use Control-C on my keyboard to copy that over. I'm then going to close this query. I'm going to go over to my blank workbook. And from here, I'm going to get data from other sources, a blank query. And once this query opens, again, I'm just going to go into Advanced Editor, and I'm going to replace all of the information that's in this query right here. And then I'm going to press done. Okay, so you can see now that I actually have this query, and I don't have an error message because, of course, the source of this file is on my computer. It's the same path. But if I wanted to change the source, if in fact I needed to, because my local path where this information or this data source file is stored is different, I can simply click on the source step and I can remap to the location where the data is stored on my computer and then refresh the query. Now you'll notice that the name of the query does not come across. So you're going to have to go ahead and to make sure that it's consistent, just go ahead and make sure foreign workers, home country by province by year. Let me go ahead and do that. So let's do foreign foreign workers, home country by province by year. Okay. All right. So now that I've done that, I can close and load that to my data model. Okay, here we go. Connection, add to the data model. Now, I wanted to show you what happens when I copy over the code from a query that is dependent on a merge to another query. So I'm going to look at this demographic detail by province, and you can see this query right now. The source is a distinct file that's on my computer, but I actually do merge this with another query. So let's just go ahead and go to the advanced editor. You'll see that this is a much longer query because of all the merges and the expansions of the steps. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. I'm going to close this query. I'm going to go over to my other workbook get data from other source, blank query. Let's go to advanced editor. Let's copy the code or paste it. There we go. And done. And we should get an error. Yes, we do. So it says the import average age by province 2021 matches no exports. Did you miss a module reference? So I can click the go to error button and it's saying, hey, listen, we tried to merge to this average age by province query and it doesn't exist in your data model, which of course it doesn't. So we don't have to stop what we're doing. We can actually just continue on. But first of all, let's make sure that we rename this demographic detail by province 2021. Demographic detail by province 2021. I'm going to close and load that. Even though I know that this is going to give me an error and this query is not working as it's supposed to. And so I'm going to say, okay. I've got a failure. However, what I can do is I can go back into that average age by province, which is the query that it was pulling, it was merging to, and I can now go in and just copy this over. And so let's copy that, copy average age by province. Let's go into our book one, get data from other source, blank query. Let's paste that code in there. There we go. And you can see that that's working. Average age by province 2021. We have to make sure that we name this query appropriately. Otherwise, it's not going to be found, right? So let's go ahead and close and load this. I think this one we don't need to load to the data model. We just need to load as a connection. And let's go back and try to refresh this query now and see if it works. Average age by province. Average age by province 2021. Let's refresh the preview. There we go. Go to error. Double click. Okay, so we can see that, because I haven't named it properly, right? I have average age versus average age. So let's go to this query. Let's rename this. Let's make that average age by province. Now let's go back to our demographic detail. You can see it's refreshing. And now we have a different error, right? Because you'll see that this demographic detail file is merged with a whole bunch of different queries. So we're going to have to make sure that we do that for all of these individual queries in order for this one to work. So we can in fact see that now when we get to this merge step, we've resolved that issue. So this is, unfortunately, there are some workarounds that you need when you are working on a shared data model with other people. But if you are clear in your communication, you are all making sure that you're sharing your queries back and forth, then this can be an easy way for you to work independently and bring all your information together. Okay, hope that was helpful.